He's yeah, he was always very interested in the whole doing the right thing and being a an upstanding kind of person. So Tavis was a fairly major role model for him because I mean,
Okay,
who the fuck else was in this town?
fair enough. All right, let's move on to Carp. Who was Tavis to you? What influence did he have on your life growing up?
Tavis set the standard for seeing things through to the end, even if they're small jobs like fixing the roof, the leaky orphanage, or making sure you have the right ingredients coming back from the market. He was the uh, he was the father figure. He was the son of the mother figure, who is now dead. I think is that. Should I bring that up yet? I'm not going to bring that up yet. He was just someone you can look up to in
Okay.
general, even if it's parental or not.
All right, Morgan. What was the significance of Tavis in your life growing up?
Growing up, not so much. I mean, he was there, definitely, and certainly had some authority. He became more important later on. Growing
Hmm.
up, I mean, still some respect. Still, as a big brother, I would see it. Just somebody who would just tell you what to do, and sometimes you didn't get along. Sometimes you played prank, but all in all, more of a big brother figure
Okay.
who became, I guess, more important as time passed.
All right. What about Callisto?
So, welcome to
Yeah,
my
it's
new
bad
voice.
quality, dude.
Oh, it's
Like
not good.
super bad quality. I
Really?
highly, yeah,
That's so weird.
it's awful quality.
You
Fine.
do sound
You
like
guys
a.
are annoying.
I'm sorry,
I'm
Kane.
gonna need you to add a channel to this and run it through some kind of static cleanser.
Yeah, like
I
we're
will.
talking
I
your
will help you
20
with this
years
later.
ago. 'Cause
Callisto. What was the
Anyway,
significance?
he was like a father figure and also, big brother. So Callisto would go to him whenever she would have any issues with anyone else in the orphanage, and he always made her feel like she was special and gave her like a little treat and said, "Don't worry about it." If she ever felt, bullied or anything like that. And then she also was extremely had a lot of admiration for him for being an adventurer and going and exploring the world and doing good deeds. And she would hear tales of him like that, and she always wanted to be something similar. So yeah.
Okay. And Pyra.
Uh, Tavis was also a father figure to her. He was always kind and looked after her, and actually gave her first rum and let her dance around the tavern and play at night after she got her chores done. So it fostered her love of music.
All right. So Tavis himself was an orphan and raised by Issa Weir, who likely would have been very influential as well to all of you. She was an impossibly sweethearted woman and the original owner of the Weary Giant. Perhaps because of Tavis's influence or Ice's influence, many of the children that grew up there seem to find themselves following paths of adventure and becoming adventurers proper. Now, as you start to read the oversized script, you see that Tavis was a bit unsteady as he wrote. Some of the letters are smudged, scribbled, and even blotted. He tells you of home, says it's doing well, and then somberly informs you that his mother has passed away at just over the age of 203. Now, he plans to carry on his mother's work, but has a few concerns. He believes that the king's chamberlain is deliberately delaying his receipt of ownership for the inheritance of his mother's estate. He hopes he can leave for a week or two to address the issue, but that would be a lot easier if things in the area weren't becoming very weird. There's attacks in the area from some of the local humanoid, but not part of the human race's life. Goblins, orcs, things like that. As you flip the letter over and continue reading, it says that he would like to deal with this on his own, but he's busy running an orphanage solely by himself. He has to hire people. He's in a tough spot. As you continue reading, the letters actually become increasingly scrunched. You can tell he's realizing he's running out of room, and he's trying to do that thing where he fits everything in at the last moment.
It's like when you're doing those big cardboards and you start in the right place, but then you miscalculate and the rest is all just.
Yep. So he asks for you to attend his mother's funeral. It's not going to be a happy affair, but it won't be somber either because she wouldn't want that. He also reaches out to each of you more personally. He mentions certain rumors have found their way back to him. Some of you might prove capable in a fight. Others might be well versed in circumventing some of the court's politics. Some of you might need his help. Regardless of what reasons he has to believe in you, he has requested your aid, and for your own reasons, you have answered him. Any questions, comments, concerns so far? All right. You arrive at a roadside tavern and find yourself not alone on the trip to Stagwick. Among the traders, travelers, and locals are some vaguely familiar faces, and it's only when you go to sleep that night that you remember them, attaching each face to a friendly memory from your time in the orphanage. In the morning, with only half a day's journey left to find your way to Stagwick proper, you set out at your own pace, following the other travelers that are also on their way, and you form a small caravan. In time, intentionally or otherwise, you find your way along the path with these familiar faces from your childhood, and you even remember hearing some of the rumors that were passed in low whispers over in the common room from the night before. Now, with one exception, all of you are here walking in this caravan or traveling, riding. What do they see? What do the other players see when they look at Ondil?
Well, a reasonably tall, average tall, let's say, average height rather, words are hard, elf with kind of grayish, pale skin and brown hair. That's about shoulder length, say. I would say not exceptionally handsome either. Just kind of is. He's an elf, right? So looks a little how should we say it? Fey. With some not so gaudy clothes and frequently has a pipe in his mouth.
Okay. What do the other characters see when they look at Carp?
It's like the child that you remember seeing in your childhood was stretched out, not up or to the side, but using the diagonal tool. He looks much wider, taller, and just as passé. He's wearing ratty clothes. They look like they're for physical laborers. You know, he has overalls, a dirty white undershirt, and he's carrying a knapsack made of burlap. He doesn't look like he's been doing very well, and his hands are very calloused and bruised.
Okay. Sorry, I meant to reveal Kevin's token while he was speaking, and Carp's as well. But Ondil is over here, and Carp is over there. Now, Morgan is currently not on the road, but Callisto, is it hard E or soft?
The way you said it, Callisto.
Okay. What do they see when they look at Callisto?
So, she is a tall, nearly 5'10", red-headed young woman. She has somewhat strange eyes. They're amber gold, and they sort of betray the magical nature of her, basically. She definitely attracts attention wherever she goes. After a few moments spent observing her, it becomes apparent that it is indeed by design that she stands out. She has a golden amulet around her neck that advertises her patron goddess, Suni. or more commonly known as Lady Firehair. And this signifies that she was trained to look as lovely as she does. And for those of you who are a little more magical or attuned to Arcana, you might actually notice slight illusions that add either, a glimmer to her hair or a little shine to her lips and so on and so forth. Almost like, if you will, a Snapchat filter that just makes you look better.
That's great.
And that's it, I guess.
I want to clarify something right now. Is it Sune or Suni?
Suni.
I thought it was
I've
Sue.
looked it
I thought it was
I thought it was soon.
You thought wrong. I looked it up. It's Suni.
All right.
All right, I just wanted to get that hammer
Out of the way.
right now.
Yeah.
No, but everybody picked up on it, which means we all thought it. All right.
Yeah, I thought so too until I had a player who was also a cleric of Suni, and I looked it up and I was like, oh, you're actually right.
So, what does everyone see when they look at Pyra?
You see a relatively short tiefling, long white hair, horns curling over her back. She's very ostentatiously dressed in very bright colors, lots and lots and lots of scarves everywhere, probably a ridiculous number of scarves. She is always smiling and happy and very friendly. You notice that she makes an effort to, make everyone happy and be in the center of attention. She's got a drum slung across her back, which is her main instrument, but she also has a flute and a viola that she will break out at night around the campfire.
Did I lose everybody?
I don't know.
I was wondering the same thing.
Everybody should have just not said anything, then Kane would have been confused.
Tony, your mic's muted.
I am aware.
Okay.
Fun fact, I learned recently that the difference between a violin and a viola is that a violin has frets.
Ooh, I think I was actually supposed to say viol, but I always forget what all these things are called.
What are those?
There's a third instrument that has this? Now I give up.
They all look the same. They're all the same.
I thought I was clever, and then I found out that I was only halfway there. All right. You can continue on the road. It is easy, and there's plenty of time for small talk if you'd like, or the lot of you can walk in companionable silence.
Do we?
I will definitely be talking, but give me 1 second.
Do we all remember each other, or is it a?
You all vaguely recognize that
Vaguely,
these are
okay.
the adult forms, the final forms, some might say, of familiar childhood faces. Now, you're a little weird in this instance here, Ondil. Most elves are children until like their first century.
Okay.
So
Really?
you're
I thought
actually,
it was like till they were 30 or so. Okay,
No.
it's a long time.
After the
Okay.
century, they get their adult name.
They get their adult name.
I didn't know it was essential.
You're a child.
It's totally fine. It's not like you're crazy immature. You're still full grown.
Yeah.
It's more like you probably would have been several years older than everybody else at the orphanage, because most of them have been gone for about 10 to 15 years.
That's what I was thinking. Like I was probably older,
Mhm.
relatively speaking, when they all arrived, and then they matured at a more accelerated rate.
So you guys are walking on the road. You can take this time. You're vaguely attaching faces to memories, and unless you really have trouble, you can probably even remember their names.
What are people's ages? At least, well, what do I know? So, Callisto's around 25. So, who would she have been around
24.
during her time? 24. And you're a human or Genasi? What were you
Human.
again?
He looks
Okay.
human.
Pyra is also 23, so she's right around that age too.
She does not look human.
Ondel would be
She
about
does not.
just a
Might
little
be
She
the
bit.
probably
tiefling
would have
thing.
been. She probably would have been around, right, at the same time. I think.
Yeah, she lived at the orphanage till she was 13, so she's been gone
Oh.
for about 10 years.
Perfect. The same. All right.
Yeah, Ondel would. I think, let's say 38.
Mhm.
Gone for 13 years from the orphanage. But I mean, probably looked very similar.